Okay, good morning. It is about an hour after dawn on Sunday, January 28th, 2018, in the lunar cycle Cottonwood. Minus 15 degrees, and I'm out here at the confluence of the St. Mary's and Old Man River, a place that used to be a very important meeting site, campground for tribes of the Blackfoot Confederacy. My purpose this morning is to go down and scout out for owls preparing to nest. In the next lunar cycle, the eagle moon, the eagles and the owls should start nesting. And so the owls should have been all along, the couple should have been near their nests for the last few months anyway. But now that we're getting close, I like to see if I can find some owl couples to monitor through the nesting season. So down here in the forest is one of the areas where I have usually found some, here at the confluence at Cottonwood Park. One of our best parks in Lethbridge, by the way, but far less accessible by vehicle than the other parks, and that's what makes it really good. I hope it never changes. One of our most remote and wilderness parks as well. So let's go have a look. Just hiking down the trail, I can see evidence of what animals have been moving around over the past less than 24 hours. We just got this dusting of snow starting yesterday afternoon into the night, and here on the trail you can see the runs of voles. This is kind of the typical look of the vole runs. There's more below. And at one point I put camera traps out here. Oh, and here we have something different. More of a jumping mouse, perhaps. Yes, I can see a tail here. Yeah, I placed camera traps out here one winter because I was noticing caches of different plants that were being eaten by rodents, and I wanted to identify which rodents were out here and which were eating what. And I learned that there's several species out here. So there's meadow voles and sage voles and western jumping mice and deer mice. And possibly some bushy-tailed rats, though I didn't catch them on video. Some of the caches that I found in the rocks were pretty indicative of them. Yeah, one of the big questions, regarding the rattlesnakes in Lethbridge too is, and the kind of the movement of them, is where their best food sources are and what's the carrying capacity out here. Yeah, are there enough rodents to say if we had to suddenly move a den of rattlesnakes out of an area where they were in danger, is the carrying capacity out here at this park enough to support another 25 snakes? This is one of the places, of course, where a lot of rattlesnake study has occurred over the past 15-20 years. Yeah, here further down we have a spot where several deer have crossed. At least 4, I think 5. probably the mule deer. They're kind of the ones who have been hanging out on the coulee slopes recently. Actually, I see something different in the deer behavior here in Lethbridge than on the blood reserve. In the deep part of winter like we're in now, on the blood reserve, I remember there being, you know, large groups of white-tailed deer up on the top, above the coulee rim. But here in Lethbridge, the whitetails seem to just stick to the thick brush of the forests all year round. I don't see the coyote yet. It's here. And another across the river. Perhaps hunting the deer. Gotta take out my binoculars and have a look. Yeah, even with my binoculars, I haven't been able to spot the coyote yet. And he's stopped calling now. But there's that herd of deer over there. I just noticed that where I squatted to start listening, there's coyote tracks coming across the trail. Fairly large size too, not a small coyote. Decent sized prairie wolf. I've dropped down into the forest now, and I'm in the primary area where I've hoped to encounter roosting owls. The owl nest that was used last year is just up here. But there's another one a little bit upstream, another area that they've used in previous years, so I'll check there as well. What I do notice off the bat here is that there are a couple of porcupines, and I see this around this time of year. I see the porcupines within view of each other, you know. I'm sure they're aware of each other's proximity, but they don't sit on the same tree. There's one here and one, let's see if I can find it in the view. Let's see. Over this way. This one's a bit more, no, this one's a bit more tricky for me to find in the view thing on the camera. Let's see. Coming down from there, should be just out here. There we go. It's the other porcupine. My eyes have learned to pick them up as I'm walking through the forest. I don't know that, you know, well, I know that not everybody sees them when they come through, but me, if I walk through the forest, my eyes pick up these porcupines every time. So I don't know if these are mates or siblings. They must have some reason to stay within some proximity of one another. Yes, I'm pretty grateful that there's forest like this to enjoy in Lethbridge. not being just overrun by traffic. I'm the only human being out here this morning. This is a good time of year to gather the dried stems and flower heads of Monikapi, the bachelor, otherwise known as wild bergamot. And whereas in the summer, the leaves of this plant can be gathered for a strong medicine, a menthol, like something like Buckley's cough syrup. In the winter here, these flower heads, what you use them for is kind of like a spoon sponge with soup. This is something the late Narcissus Blood told me about, and I hadn't tried it until this year, and it really is, it really adds to the experience of eating soup. You dip this in the soup and then you suck it, and it has a very good sponge quality, and it maintains itself all the way through the meal. In fact, you could probably dry it out and use it again, and it adds just a little tinge of mint flavor to the soup that you're eating, and yeah, it just makes the experience something else. So as I've been walking around this winter, I've been most times, if I pass a little area of the old dry Monikapi, I'll take a handful of stalks. This is a bit of an odd find. This porcupine high up on this stump. Wouldn't seem there would be much he'd be interested there in eating. There's a little nest in this knothole. I don't know who makes this. These little stems in there. These little bits of cottonwood stem. Yeah, I wonder what he's up to. Somewhere off in this direction. Sounds like the magpies may be mobbing someone. Could be a clue as to where the owl is hidden. I'll have to go look. Well, I'm here in kind of a little hollow in the forest. This is where the magpies were leading. Most of them have departed already, but whatever the ruckus was, it's quieted down in any case. And I don't see any owls or anybody else. This is a wonderful mid-forest meadow that I've paid attention to for some years. It's a perfect hunting spot. And the owls and the hawks know this. This is where the second nest site is. Way up here. A couple of years ago, the tree here that the owl nest had been on year after year fell. but this has been reconstructed, I believe, by the red-tailed hawks. And we'll see if the owl uses it. I think the owl couples are going to use one or the other, this one or that last one. So I still haven't come across them perching, but it's a needle in a haystack kind of a situation as well, and they're very camouflaged in the crooks of cottonwood trees. So if I don't see them today, I'll just continue to monitor these nests, because one of them is going to be occupied within a month or so from now. As at Spokane here in Cottonwood, there is, or there has been, a more frequent sign of visitation from the pileated woodpecker, who makes cavities like this. But the woodpeckers themselves are still a pretty rare sighting. They may, however, be shifting a little bit more into this area. Opspinakes, the white jaws, Canada geese along the open river crags. I'm right here at the confluence. There's the St. Mary's coming in. Mostly frozen over. Back up near the coulee rim now, and this will be my last little note for the morning for this hike. It's been a nice walk this morning. I love coming out on the Sundays. Usually I have a couple of students with me, but it's cold this morning. I know one of them wasn't feeling well, so all the same, it was good to get out and be in the quiet of the forest, see what's happening out there. Up here, higher on the coulee slopes, I started running into signs of white-tailed jackrabbits. Just another species that's here in the park. Might not see the rabbit all too often myself, you know, but the signs of them are all around on the fresh snow like this. So, any case, that's a wrap for today. I'm sure sometime midweek I'll be back at Spokane for another round to see what's happening in our local nature.